134. Hariu l'Adonai kol haaretz bitzchu v'rananu v'zameru. Raise a shout to God, all the earth. Break into joyous songs, songs of praise. Page 134.
Raninu v'zameru, raninu v'zameru, raninu v'zameru. Zamur Adonai bechinor, bechinor v'chol zimra. Zamur Adonai bechinor v'chol zimra. L'Adonai golaretz, l'Adonai golaretz, l'Adonai golaretz. Yitzchu, ranenu v'zameru, ranenu v'zameru, ranenu v'zameru. V'chol zimra. Ay yar la la yar la 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 la. Ay yar la la yar la 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 la. Ay yar la la yar la 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 la. Ay yar la la. Page 137. Adonai Ozla Yamo Yiten. Adonai Yivarech et Amo B'Shalom. May God grant strength to our people. May God grant our people the gift of peace.
Adonai Oz Le'amo Yiten. Adonai Yivarech et Amo.
Vashalom, Vashalom, On page 138, we welcome the Sabbath bride with the beautiful words of Lecha Dodi. And the tradition was to go out to the edge of the village and to lay a beautiful white table as for a wedding. So we welcome masculine and feminine aspects of God reuniting in this moment of Shabbat, a sacred space in time. Page 138, Lecha Dodi.
Lecha Dodi, לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. lecha dodi, לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. שמו וזכור בדיבור אחד, השמיענו אל המיוחד. אדוני אחד ושמו אחד, לשם ולתפארת ולתהילה.
lecha dodi, לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. lecha dodi, לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה.
לקראת שבת לכו ונלכה, כי היא מקור הברכה. מראש מקדם נסוכה, סוף מעשה במחשבה תחילה.
lecha dodi, לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. lecha dodi, לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה.
התעוררי, התעוררי, כי באורך ומי אורי, אורי אורי, שתדברי, כבוד אדוני עלייך נגלה.
lecha dodi, לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. lecha dodi, לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה.
ימין ושמאל תפרצי, ואת אדוני תריצי. על יד איש בן פרצי, ונשמחה פני הילה.
lecha dodi, לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. lecha dodi, לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. We rise and we face the back as we welcome the Sabbath bride.
בואי ושלום, עטרת בעלה, גם בשמחה ובצהלה, תוך אמונך עם סגולה. בואי חלה
So I'm going to invite everyone to be seated except for you. You I'll invite to come up here with this beautiful young man who has been dancing his way through the whole of the service so far, which is just fabulous. I can't tell you how gratifying it is to see this little young man bouncing away going, happy little chappy. It's just fantastic. So, Baruch haba b'shem Adonai, berachnuchem mibeit Adonai, Eli ata ve'odeka, Elohai v'aromemecha, hodu l'Adonai, ki tov, ki leolam chazdo. You can see the eyes going, oh my God. Blessed are they who come here in God's name. Praise to you, Adonai, our God, source of the universe, who causes parents to rejoice with their children. Baruch atah Adonai mesameach horim im yaldehem. And so, Zecher leolam brito dvar tziva le'elef dor Baruch atah Adonai koret habrit. God remembers the covenant forever, the word commanded to 1,000 generations. We praise you, O God, who establishes the covenant. Now, Jasmine, would you like to read just?
Yes. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם אשר קידשנו במצוותיו להכניסה בעברית עם ישראל. We praise you, Adonai our God, ruler of the universe, who hallows us with mitzvot and commands us to bring our son into the covenant of the Jewish people.
Goodness me, it sounds like Hebrew, doesn't it?
We have been blessed with a gift of new life. We have shared love and pain and joy in bringing our son into this world and have been privileged to participate in the marvel and beauty of creation. Through our loving example, we hope to teach our son to become a caring and loving person with a sense of his own worth and respect for others. May his life be one of happiness, goodness, wisdom. May he be a shining light and give help to all who know him.
Lovely. So would you like to tell us a little bit about the names that you have chosen for this young man?
So we've chosen two names. The first is Eli, and we knew that we were expecting a son, and so looked while I was expecting for a Hebrew name, and John actually found it, and it felt like it already suited him. And his second name, Shmuel, is from my grandfather, my mother's father. He was a wonderful man. We would have loved him very much.
Okay. So I'm going to invite Lauren and Simon to come up along with our grandparents. So all of you come up here, if you could. Now, who's going to do the grandparents' reading?
Oh, together?
Okay. Here we go. So just here.
All of this?
Just the paragraph that says grandparents.
All right. We echo the prayers of our children. May the happiness which emanates from them today forever fill their home and their family. May we help them care for and nurture this child and continue to shower upon them the love and affection we first felt for them when they entered this world. We thank you, O God, for the miracle of life and for the length of our days and for enabling us to reach this day. We echo the
Just to repeat, that's
Oh.
okay.
That's
This
why
is the
it
same
seemed
paragraph,
long.
cut and pasted once, twice, once. And were you going to share a few words?
I was. I asked how long I could speak, and I was told only 35 minutes. Is that okay?
Perfect. I was going to
Okay,
say 50, but you're good.
fantastic. Felix Eli Shmuel, son of Jasmine and John, grandson of Bernie, Ginny, Ofra and I, godson of Lauren and Simon. We're so proud to be in your presence here today, and we are honored to be welcomed to this wonderful shul and its members, to give you your Hebrew name and to welcome you to the Jewish community just a few weeks after your arrival on January 1st, 2024. There's a long list of people who would have loved to be here, but who are on the other side of the world, in Montreal, Toronto, Florida, New York, Manitoba, British Columbia, London, California, and Israel. On their behalf, until they have the joy to meet you, I say welcome, Eli Shmuel. There are two people I want to recognize who are no longer with us, who would have been so happy to see you come into the world. My mother Joyce, who would have been crying her eyes with joy if she were here today, and Ofra's father Shmuel, after whom you're named. He too would have had tears of joy in his eyes. In their memory, Eli Shmuel, I say welcome. Offer and I are a long way from home, but we could not be happier and prouder to be with all of you here today to introduce our first grandchild and bear witness to his introduction to you, the Jewish community of Melbourne, and the Jewish community of the world. Thank you. Merci beaucoup. Toda rabba.
I like the merci beaucoup. That's a nice little addition. And Lauren and Simon, are you up for this role of godparents? You get to be the ones that this young man will come to in those moments when he wants to talk to someone and share something special, which he probably doesn't want to share with mum and dad. So we ask that you, as godparents and as grandparents, are always welcoming if he comes to you for company, for advice or support, that you will listen to him and respect his confidence, no matter how great or how small. Are you ready to accept this responsibility? Yes? Grandparents, you kind of have no choice, just saying. It comes with the territory. There you go. And so, אלוהינו ואלוהי אבותינו ואמותינו, קיים את הילד הזה לאביו ולאמו, ויקרא שמו בישראל, אלי שמואל בן יסמין וג'ון, ישמח אב ויוצא חלציו, ותגל עמה בפרי בטנה, זה הקטן, גדול תהיה, כשם שנכנס לברית, כן תיכנס לתורה, לחופה ולמעשים טובים. God and God of our ancestors, sustain this child for his father and his mother. Let him be called in Israel Eli Shmuel, son of Yasmin or Jasmine and John. May his name be a source of joy and inspire him to serve our people and all humankind. May his parents rejoice in his growth of body and soul. May they, with wisdom and patience, lead him to a life of good deeds, Torah, and the blessing of family life. Actually, it says chuppah, which means the wedding canopy, but there's no hurry. Just saying. And the practice of goodness. And we say,
Amen.
Amen. משברך אבותינו, אברהם, יצחק ויעקב ואמותינו, שרה רבקה רחל ולאה, הוא יברך את הילד הרך הזה, ויזכו אביו ואמא לגדלו, לחנכו, ויהיה ידיה וליבו לאל אמונה ונאמר אמן. May God who blessed our ancestors, Abraham, Isaac and Jacob, Sarah, Rebecca, Rachel and Leah, bless this infant. May his parents have the privilege of raising him, educating him and encouraging him to attain wisdom. May his hands and his heart be faithful in serving God, and we say
Amen.
Amen. And so there's a tradition of sharing with you two things. Number one, we know that if it's not on Facebook, it hasn't happened. And so too, if we don't have a certificate, it hasn't happened. So we have here Simchat Ben, a certificate of baby naming for Felix Elliot Clark, son of Jasmine Tal Marcel Aslan, and got to say it with a French accent, and John Alexander Clark, born on the 1st of January 2024, 20th of Tevet 5784, was named and blessed and given the Hebrew name on the 8th of March 2024, 29th of Adar 15784. Just so you know, Adar is the month of rejoicing, because it's the month in which we have Purim. And so this idea of being born in the month of Adar is one of great celebration. And was named Eli Shmuel ben Yasmin v'John, Eli Shmuel, son of Jasmine and John, and signed by myself. And it says here, the crown of a good name is the highest crown of them all. So I'm going to slip this in here, and you can have it in just 1 minute. Can you hold on for one more minute? Because the most important thing now is to share with you the oldest blessing of all. So I'm going to invite everyone to rise as the community shares this blessing with you. I'm going to invite your parents to put their hands on your head or on your shoulders, and their parents to put their hands on your head or on your shoulders. Parents and godparents, come forward. Place your hands. You can come behind as well if you want. Place your hands as we transmit this amazing blessing, this blessing that dates back 3,500 years and more to this young man who receives Birkat HaMishpacha, the Birkat HaKohanim now. Yevarechecha Adonai ve'yishmerecha. May Adonai bless you and protect you. Yair Adonai panav elecha v'chuneka. May Adonai show you favor and be gracious to you. Yisa Adonai, Yisa Adonai panav ויעשם לך, ויעשם לך שלום, shalom. Adonai show you kindness and grant you the most important gift of all, the gift of peace. I love the fact that he's yawning his way through my thing. So we say, Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shechianu v'kimanu v'higiyanu lazman hazeh. We praise you, Adonai, our God, ruler of the universe, who's given us life, sustained us, and brought us to this joyous moment. And so, I'm going to invite you to hold this cup for a moment. Jasmine, would you like to hold this cup? There you go. As we say the words of the Kiddush, Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. We praise you, Adonai, our God, ruler of the universe, creator of the fruit of the vine. Dip your pinky into the wine and pop that into this young man's mouth, and let's see what he thinks of it. What do you think? Well, it is pasteurized, homogenized, sweetened, boiled wine. What do you expect, really? It's okay? Okay, good. You can have a sip if you like. As we say, Mazel Tov. And we're going to transition straight to candle lighting. I'm going to light this candle in honor of those who would have wanted to be here, but are not able to join us at this time. So we have a memorial candle recognizing that not everyone is able to be with us at this time, celebrating Shabbat and celebrating this beautiful young boy's naming. And so we wind back to our candle lighting, and I'm going to invite you to share this reading with us. I'll take that wine off your hand. Why don't you take this? I'll take the wine. And just this paragraph.
This one. As these candles give light to all who behold them, so may we, by our lives, give light to all who behold us, as their brightness reminds us of the generations of Israel who have kindled light, so may we, in our own day, be among those who kindle light.
Would you like to light the candles for us, please? Take this off your hand. And the bracha.
ברוך אתה אדוני, אלוהינו מלך העולם, אשר קידשנו במצוותיו וציוונו להדליק נר של שבת.
Amen. It sounds like you've done this before. And so as we've lit the Shabbat candles, so too let's welcome each other. If there's someone nearby whose name you don't know, introduce yourselves, make them feel welcome, get to know them, and make sure that they feel welcomed within our community. Shabbat Shalom and Mazel Tov.
מזל טוב. מזמור שיר ליום השבת,
טוב להודות לאדוני, מזמור
שיר ליום השבת, טוב להודות לאדוני,
וזמר לשמך עליון, וזמר לשמך עליון, להגיד בבוקר חסדך, ואמונתך בלילות, עלי עשור ועלי נבל, עלי היגיון בכינור, ישמחתני אדוני בפועלך, במעשה ידיך רנן. הגדלו מעשיך אדוני, מאוד עמקו מחשבותיך. איש בר לא ידע, וכסיל לא יבין את זאת. צדיק התמר יפרח, ארץ בלבנון יזכה, שתולים בבית אדוני, בחצרות אלוהינו יפריחו. עוד ינבון בשיבה, ושנים ורעננים יהיו, להגיד כי ישר אדוני, צורי ולא עוולה תבוא.
On page 142, we welcome the angels who bless us. May this Shabbat be as blessed as we have blessed it in preparing Shabbat, in anticipating, in making Shabbat beautiful. And may our week be filled with blessing just as our Shabbat is filled with blessing. Page 142, Shalom Aleichem.
Shalom Aleichem, Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Yon, Melech, Malachei Amlachim, Akadosh, Akadosh Baruch Hu. Boachem leshalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Yon, Melech, Malachei Amlachim, Akadosh Baruch Hu. Shalom Aleichem, Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Yon,
מלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש, הקדוש ברוך הוא. ברכוני לשלום, מלכי השלום, מלכי עליון. מלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא.
Shalom Aleichem, Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Yon,
מלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש, הקדוש ברוך הוא.
שובכם.
שובכם לשלום, מלכי השלום, מלכי עליון. מלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא.
Shalom Aleichem, Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Yon,
מלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש, הקדוש ברוך הוא.
We rise for the Chatzi Kaddish and the call to prayer, page 144. 144.
יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה, והמן תברהירותי, וימליך מלכותי, בחיי חון וביומי חון, ובחיי דכו בית ישראל.
מזמן קריב.
ואמרו אמן.
יהי שמי רבה מבורך, לעלם ולעל מעל מיה יתברך.
יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי קודשה
בריחו
לעילם לנקוד בחטא ושירתה
תושבחתה ונחמתה תמירן בעלמה.
ואמרו
אמן.
ברכו את אדוני המבורך.
ברוך אדוני המבורך לעולם ועד.
Please be seated if you'll join with me on page 148. Baruch ata Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bidvaro ma'ariv aravim, בחוכמה פותח שערים ובתבונה משנה עיתים ומחליף את הזמנים ומסדר את הכוכבים במשמרותיהם ברקיע כרצונו. בורא יום ולילה גולל אור מפני חושך וחושך מפני אור. ומעביר יום ומבין לילה ומבדיל בין יום ובין לילה. אדוני צבאות שמו אל חי וקיים תמיד ימלוך עלינו לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה אדוני המריב ערבים. Page 150.
אהבת עולם בית ישראל עמך אהבת. תורה ומצוות חוקים ומשפטים אותנו לימדת. על כן אדוני אלוהינו משכבנו וקומנו נשיח בפניך ונשמח בדברי תורתך ובמצוותיך לעולם ועד. כי
הם חיינו באורך ימינו ובהם נגן יומם ולילה.
ואהבתך אל תסיר ממנו לעולמים. ברוך אתה אדוני אוהב עמו ישראל. שמע ישראל אדוני אלוהינו אדוני אחד. ברוך שם כבוד מלכותו לעולם ועד. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך. והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום הלבביך ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך וקשרתם לאות ידיך והיו לתותפות בין עיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך. ויאמר אדוני אל משה לאמור דבר אל בני ישראל ואמרת עליהם ועשו להם ציצית על כנפי בגדיהם לדורותם ונתנו הציצית הכנף בציר תכלת. והיה לכם לציצית וראיתם אותו. וזכרתם את כל מצוות אדוני ועשיתם אותם ולא תטורו אחרי לבבכם ואחרי עיניכם אשר אתם זונים אחריהם למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם אלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם
Adonai Elohechem Emet. If you'll join with me at the bottom of page 157 in the English. In a world torn by violence and pain, a world far from wholeness and peace, give us the courage to say, there is one God in heaven and on earth. The high heavens declare your glory. May earth reveal your justice and love. From bondage in Egypt we were delivered. At Sinai we bound ourselves to your way, inspired by prophets and instructed by sages. Time and again we overcame oppressive forces. Though our failings are many and our faults great, it has been our glory to bear witness to our God, keeping alive in dark ages your vision of a world redeemed. Let us continue to work for the day when the nations will be one and at peace. Then shall we rejoice as Israel did, singing on the shores of the sea. Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha nedar ba'kodesh. Nora tehilot, osef ele. Nora tehilot, osef ele. There you go. You might have gathered that Adar begins this week, and so it is also the time of Purim, and it's a time of a little bit of fun and frivolity and silliness. And so you might have some occasional differences in the traditional melodies that we have here. Just so you know, we always do that melody. No. מלכותך ראו בניך בוקע ים לפני משה ומרים, זה אלי ענו ואמרו, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. ונאמר כי פדה אדוני את יעקב וגאלו מיד חזק ממנו, ברוך אתה אדוני קהל ישראל. Page 160. השכיבנו, אדוני אלוהינו לשלום, לשלום.
השכיבנו, אדוני אלוהינו לשלום.
וענינו מלכנו לחיים ולשלום, ולשלום. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Eternal One, help us to walk with good companions, to live with hope in our hearts, eternity in our thoughts, that we may lie down in peace and rise up waiting to do your will. Ashkivenu, Ashkivenu, ברוך אתה אדוני, הפורץ סוכת שלום עלינו ועל כל עמו ישראל ועל ירושלים. Blessed are you, eternal one, whose shelter of peace is spread over us, over all your people Israel, and over Jerusalem. On page 162, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. This is our covenant for all times. And so we keep Shabbat. Page 162.
ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם.
ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם.
בני ובן בני ישראל, אותי לעולם, אותי לעולם.
ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם.
כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני, עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ.
ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם.
וביום השביעי שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש.
שמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. And so we rise on page 164 for the Amidah, or the Tefillah, the standing prayer. As is our tradition, we'll chant the first three of the benedictions together as a community, then continue in silence using your personal prayer, whether using the words of the prayer book or the words of your own hearts. Page 164, the Amidah.
אדוני שפתי תפתח ופיי תהילתך. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו ואלוהי אבותינו ואמותינו, אלוהי אברהם אלוהי יצחק ואלוהי יעקב, אלוהי שרה אלוהי רבקה, אלוהי רחל ואלוהי לאה, האל הגדול הגיבור והנורא, עליון, גומר חסדים טובים וקונה הכל, וזוכר חסדי אבות ואימהות, ומביא גאולה לפני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה, מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן. ברוך אתה אדוני מגן אברהם ועזרת שרה. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיי מתים אתה רב להושיע. משיב הרוח ומוריד הגשם, מזריח השמש ומוריד הטל. מחכה חיים בחסד, מחיים מתים ברחמים רבים. סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני הפך. מי כמוך בגבורות ומטוב מלך, מלך ממיתוך חיה ומשמיח ישוע, ונאמן אתה לחיות מתים. ברוך אתה אדוני מחיי המתים. אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יהללוך סלה. ברוך אתה אדוני האל הקדוש.
Adonai tzuri v'goali, may the words of my mouth and the meditations of my heart be acceptable to you, O God, my rock and my redeemer.
יהיו לרצון אמרי פי בהגיון ליבי לפניך אדוני צורי אדוני
So it gives me great pleasure to invite to her new pulpit our new rabbi, senior rabbi, Alison Konya. Welcome. It is a great delight, especially on this International Women's Day. It is so very appropriate that you are joining us and leading us.
Thank you very much. So if anyone ever doubted the hand of God organizing this Shabbat for my first Shabbat, very, very impressive, God. Thanks. Heads up to you. So normally on a Friday night, I actually don't write a sermon, and it's really short. I tell a story, but I couldn't help myself because of what's happening this week. So bear with me. In 1993, I was watching the Academy Awards with a group of friends when Barbra Streisand was asked to present an award in honor of the Year of the Woman. 31 years later, her words still ring in my ears. She said, "I look forward to the time when there is no need to recognize the Year of the Woman because women will be recognized as equal members in humanity." And here we are today, acknowledging the United Nations International Women's Day. Although we've come a long way, we still have a long way to go. Every year, without fail, one of my male friends or more will joke, "What about an International Men's Day?" Or when we women create a Rosh Chodesh women's groups, men will ask, "What about a men's group?" Or when I lead the women's Seder, some men will ask, "What about a men's Seder?" My stock standard answer and responses are, every day is International Men's Day, and there is nothing stopping you from creating a men's group, and just go to any traditional Seder if you want a men's Seder. We all know that, but still, there's a feeling of exclusion, a feeling that we don't understand until we experience it. In the 1980s, I used to run a program with high school students, raising awareness for differing sexualities. I used to take them on a visualization where they walked through the streets and rode buses and saw only gay and lesbian couples. When we finished, we discussed how they felt. Those who identified as gay and lesbian felt validated and affirmed, feeling that they identified with society and society identified with them. And those who identified as heterosexual felt confronted. Some were uncomfortable, while others just found it unusual or odd or enlightening. This was in the 80s. We now have Modern Family and so much more. Many years ago, I went to the wedding of my African-American friend, and I was one of 2 white people in the group. I never felt so other until I went to another friend's sister's wedding in Texas, where I was the only Jewish person, and the bride's mother, in an ignorant effort to try to relate to a Jew, said to me, "I am your Hitler mother, now off to the showers." I was horrified. She was trying to relate to me. She meant well. I never realized, trust me, it took me a while to get over that one. I never realized how much I took for granted being around people like me. I never realized how ignorant people and myself were of the experience of the other. We don't know what it's like to be in the minority or to be overlooked when we are not in the minority and we are not overlooked. In December, I attended the Me Too Unless You're a Jew rally in Sydney, a protest to the United Nations who refused, conceded, and then backpedaled their acknowledgement and inclusion of Israeli girls and women who were brutalized, raped, tortured, and murdered. Israeli women and girls were overlooked and excluded in an international outcry in the recognition to stop abuse against women, but they didn't count. In every culture, women are at the bottom of the totem pole and often victims of power plays rooted in insecurities and helplessness. This year, as we acknowledge the International Day of Women, we must give voice to the overlooked 19 women who are currently held hostage by Hamas. According to the Times of Israel, 14 of those 19 women are presumed to be still in captivity, while 5 women whose bodies are being held in Gaza. Those women are Judy Weinstein Haggai, 70, from Kibbutz Nir Or, who was killed on October 7th, and her body taken by terrorists to Gaza. Ofra Kedar, 70, from Kibbutz Beri. Maya Goren, 56, from Nir Oz. Shani Luk, 22, who was dragged lifeless from the supernova rave through the streets of Gaza. And Inbar Hyman, 27, was also taken hostage from the Supernova Festival and later murdered in Gaza, according to the Hostages and Missing Families Forum. The 14 other women, Nama Levi, Noah Argamani, Romi Gonen, Arbel Yichud, Carmel Gat, Eden Yerushalmi, Doron Steinbrecher, Liri Albag, Daniela Gilboa, Shiri Bibes, Karina Ariev, Agam Berger, and Emily Damari are presumed to still be alive. To all these Israeli women, we join with the rest of our Jewish community to say, we remember you, we honor you, we will not overlook you, and we will continue to fight for you. As I was writing my blurb for this week's TBI's newsletter, I edited one line 3 times before submitting it. I wrote, Shabbat Shekalim reminds us that each person was counted by offering a half a shekel to contribute towards the upkeep of the temple, for this is Shabbat Shekalim. The reality is that each person was not really counted. The reality was that with each male over the age of 20 was counted. The reality was that women were not counted. Women were put in the same category as children, dependents. To this day, according to halakha, Jewish law, women are still not counted in a minyan. Women cannot be witnesses on a ketubah, conversion, or any Jewish legal matters. According to the traditional ketubah, women are the property of their fathers or husbands. According to our Jewish tradition, women have been portrayed as virgins or whores, deceptive and cunning seductresses, or naive and ignorant appendages to their male masters. Even the word for husband in Hebrew is translated as master. There are, however, some exceptional Jewish women role models who defy these generalized norms. And there have been women and men who have continued to acknowledge and bring out of the shadows the women's voices and stories and our place in history. There have been women and men who have fought to ensure that women count and are valued for their contributions. And now, we have people of all genders celebrating the important role that women play in society, wherever they choose to contribute, whether it's at home, in the workforce, or in community. Women are counted. Our progressive movement introduced egalitarian services, welcoming women and men to come together and pray. We were the first to accept women leading services, serving on boards, and eventually even embracing women rabbis and presidents. How radical. How many of you, show of hands, have seen the Barbie movie? I know it's very controversial. Some love it, some hate it. But suffice to say, the image of all the different Barbies over the years was so fascinating for me to see. A representation of how women have been portrayed and perceived over time. Barbie did influence how women were seen, but as art mimics life, Barbies evolved, and in some ways, to reflect the changing roles of women over the decades. In many ways, they kept women in a box, puns intended. And yet, in other ways, they challenged the stereotypes of the traditional Barbie. I was ordained as a rabbi nearly 26 years ago. People used to ask me, what's a nice Jewish girl doing in a profession like this? And by the time I finished my rabbinical internship, a 6-year-old boy asked me, can boys be rabbis too? As the first woman rabbi in New South Wales 26 years ago, people commented on my matching kippah and my clothes daily. When I asked them if they did the same for my male colleague, they just laughed. When a member, I comment on my, by the way, nice kippah. When a member of my congregation came to me in Sydney to thank me for just standing there, for role modeling for her daughter and her son, that women can be strong leaders. When she shared with me the challenges that she faced as being a female solicitor, I was shocked that even then, one's gender influenced how one saw a person's capabilities. When I looked at the Australian government's 2023 Status of Women report card, did you even know that that existed? Fascinating. I learned that in Australia, on average, women do 2 hours more work than men, 55.4 hours per week, and 37.7 of these hours are unpaid. Nearly 60% of women over the age of 15 are employed. A gender gap pay emerges immediately after graduation. There is also a segregation in how we work. Women childcare workers make up over 96% of those in childcare, and registered nurses, 86%, and nearly 80% of primary school teachers. A full-time gender gap pay is at a record low, which is good, but women still earn less on average. Hourly earnings, the pay gap is 11.6%, and a full-time wage gap is 13.6%. Total taxable income is 29.2% today, in 2023. There is a 50% drop in earnings for mothers in the 5 years following the childbirth, so good luck to you. And overall, women of all ages spend 9 hours more a week of unpaid work. This one is not going to surprise you. Women who do more unpaid housework than men, even when they are the primary breadwinner. There is a 5-hour gap. Anyway, there's more. I can go on and on about the differences, but it is really fascinating. Again, with superannuation, it's a big problem. It's still something to work on. I wholeheartedly agree with Barbra Streisand. I look forward to the day, to a world that is not divided by gender, where gender does not influence assumptions people make about skills, interests, abilities, or productivity, where gender does not influence suitability for careers or for salaries, when gender does not affect our physical or our mental health. But until that time, how beautiful that we can gather together to appreciate the overlooked, underestimated, powerful role of the woman. We can celebrate how far we've come, after all, TBI has hired their first female senior rabbi. Kol hakavod to you guys. And we can recognize the continued inequality, inequity, and injustice that women continue to experience, both here in Australia and around the world. Tonight, on this Shabbat Shekalim, this Shabbat, we can pledge to work together to ensure that indeed every person, regardless of gender, every person counts and makes a difference in our society, each in her, his, and their own right. Ken Yehi Ratzon. May this be God's will.
Thank you, Alison, and welcome. It's really a pleasure to have you here. We rise on page 586 as we come to our concluding prayers. We begin with the Aleinu, page 586.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצא בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם.
ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא, הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר, והיה אדוני ומלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד.
We remain standing for a few more moments as we turn to page 598. And we think of the costs of war in Israel, and we never forget. This evening we think of Muhammad al-Tarash, 40 years old, held captive. He was taken hostage by Hamas on October 7th, 2023, from where he was working near Kibbutz Nachal Oz. Al-Tarash from the Bedouin village of Sawa in the Negev was last heard from at 6:15 a.m., according to reports from his family. They heard someone speaking to him. Al-Tarash has 2 wives and 13 children, including a baby who was a month old when he was abducted on October 7th. We await to hear further word. And those we remember, we think of Moshe ben Porat, 58, from Tiberias, who was murdered by Hamas in Ofakim on October 7th. Ben Porat had traveled to the city in order to attend the Brit Milah of his grandson. Instead, he was slain by terrorists while he was on his way to the synagogue that morning. While his family knew he had been killed that day, his body was collected with many others and brought to the Shura military facility, where they were unable to identify it for more than a week. In the period of Shloshim, we think of Caroline Same, Daphne Sarkin, Ellen Schneider, Edith Spencer, Mary Poznansky, Marilyn Hyams, and Isaac Finkelstein. And we think of the yahrzeits which fall this day: Rosa Abraham, Erika Bentz, Leon Birnbaum, Bella Schmerlartz, Sala Cousins, Marie Davis, Hannah Forshaw, Elsa Fröhlich, Olga Geiger, Jack Golden, Jacqueline Herman, Stephen Jacobs, Ada Jacobi, Ina Kurtzer, Rebecca Markovich, Jeffrey Opat, Joseph Penner, Ada Phillips, Leah Slonim, Leonor Spivakovsky, Jeffrey Tepper, Lewis Wolf. If there are other names you'd like to share, please do so as I look around the room. Zichronam livracha, may their memories be for a blessing along with those dying so unnecessarily in conflicts, whether in Israel, in Ukraine, or elsewhere around the world. Page 598, Kaddish Yatom. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei rabba.
Amen.
Ba'alma divrach chirutei v'yamlich malchutei. B'chayechon uvyomechon uv'chayei dechol beit Yisrael. Ba'agala uvizman kariv v'imru.
Amen.
יהי שמי רבה מבורך לעולם ולעלמי עלמיה. יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא. ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל. שמי לקודשה
בריחו.
לעילה מן קל ברכתה ושירתה. תושבחתה ונחמה עתה. תאמירן בעלמה ואמרו אמן. יהי שלמה רבה מן שמיה. וחיים עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו אמן. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל, ואמרו, Amen. May the one who creates harmony on high bring peace to us, to all of Israel, and to all of humanity. And we say, Amen. Amen. And so we have here, the red is wine, the white is grape juice for those who would like to partake. Thank you so much. We have an opportunity to share some wine and grape juice throughout the community as we join together in the words of Kiddush. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei pri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho be'ahava uvraton inchilanu זיכרון למעשה וראשית, כי הוא יום תחילה למקראי קודש, זכר ליציאת מצרים, כי בנו בחרת, אותנו קידשת מכל העמים, ושבת קודשך באהבה וברצון הנחלתנו, ברוך אתה אדוני מקדש Shabbat l'chaim. And then please join me as we say, Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen. Shabbat shalom and b'te'avon.